Hello everyone, I'm Jack and I'm here to talk to you about how one uses iPads exclusively in science. Now, I can confidently say that I use my iPad the most in science class, and that's why I'm only doing this presentation for one subject, just because science is such a huge topic and one that there are a lot of apps to cater for that. Now, as I said, there are a lot of apps that you use, and you can kind of divide them into three different areas, and that's information retrieval, test of knowledge, and the creative aspect. So, with an iPad I can retrieve knowledge, be it through the internet or through any of these apps. I can then test myself on whether I actually know what I just read, and then I can create whatever it is that I want to be doing on the iPad. Now, one of the first apps that I use sometimes is a little app called the Elementals. Now, I kind of use it because it's absolutely adorable, and it kind of shows a brief aspect of the periodic table. So there you go, you've got a little fact file around here, and you can play around with your selected app. It's quite entertaining. Right. So that's quite fun. And there is, of course, the more serious version of that, which is called Nova Elements. Now, Nova Elements is obviously another periodic table, and one which allows you to have a little bit of a fact file on that. So, for example, if I look at carbon, it will give me like some information on that, which I can then use to study further. And that's quite useful to me, especially it can be quite entertaining because I can't do that. I'll try gallium. Alright. I can build the atom from scratch by just inserting enough protons, neutrons, and electrons. Now, since I can't actually bother building gallium at the moment, I'm just going to press the auto build button. It's going to make me my own gallium atom. That's quite entertaining. And you can kind of use that to help you understand stuff about Bitcoin numbers and ways and that sort of stuff. And there you go. Just built that. See? Congratulations. The next app we have is GeoWalk, which is kind of a mixture of SOS and science here. Now, it kind of gives you a random sample of different cars, if one can say, and you just look at them and they're little fact files. And they're quite fun, actually. Switch modes. Yeah, so I'm going to switch modes. Here we go. And here, so we've got a little card here, which is white. Okay. So you can look through all of this. Okay, that's amazing. Great white sharks. Awesome. And bridges. Okay. So there's no actual relation between any of these cards, which is like we flip through the little trivia here and there. Get to keep your edge in the classroom. People ask random questions. You can know all about Castle Brand. Perfect. And finally, one of my favourite apps, just because it's so beautiful, is SolarWalk. This allows you to explore the solar system in an interactive way. Now, it's kind of annoying because this app, it goes a bit strange during mirror mode, so most of it is actually on my iPad, but the actual visuals stay here. So, here we go. Here I have the Earth, the thing that we're living on. Where are we at the moment? There. No. There we are. Hello. So what I can do is I can press the information button here. See, my iPad is different. It's just great to know. But if I press the information button here, we'll zoom in on it, and then it will give me some basic fact files here and there, and some pictures. I can look at the figures, the atlas, and more importantly, I can look at the internal structure of the planet. So that's cool. It's quite fun to look around, especially since, you know, it delivers quite a few facts around the place. So Earth is an ocean planet, our home, the world's abundance of water, life makes it unique in our solar system. And so there's like a few paragraphs about Earth and how it got its name and all that sort of thing. It's quite cool. You can also search up all sorts of things. So say I want to go to Neptune, I'm going to go to Neptune and look at Neptune as well. Don't have to do exactly the same thing together. Go through here and look figures. So its equatorial radius, I'll have you know, is in fact 24,764 kilometers. So if I can get out that, then you never know when. but there you go. There's also a few biology apps which I've been using. Firstly, there's iCell, which is kind of an interactive app which allows you to explore the different organelles of a cell. So if I go to an animal cell here, I've got a little interactive cell, and if I click on the endoplasmic reticulum, it'll give you a little brief fact file here. And if that's not enough information for you, then you can turn it right up to the advanced, and it gives you a huge paragraph that you just won't have to read. So you can really get a lot of information from that. You can use a lot of this sort of stuff just to begin what you want to research. So if I list the endoplasmic reticulum, the nucleus, and that's where the DNA is stored and replicated. So obviously you can use this to tailor it to multiple different levels of competency, depending on where you're teaching this or whatever it is you'll be doing with it. There's also cell and cell structure, which is slightly more serious. This one is kind of a big thing about all sorts of different cells. It's kind of like a big interactive slideshow. So here we have a white blood cell, an amoeba, and another cell that is multi-cell. And so if you look at that, we've got ones here, scroll through. So all of these apps that I've just showed you have been all about finding information that you need for various different parts of science, be it physics or chemistry, biology or geology. But there are a few apps that you use also to kind of test your own knowledge, to find whether you actually know what you just read, whether you actually understand it. The first of these is, once again, cell and cell structure. And you can do a little quiz here, and it can be quite a challenging quiz, actually. I'm not terribly good at it because I haven't gone through all of it properly. So let's start the quiz. Alright, how do we use microscope to see these cells? First answer. Yes. See, that was pure quiz on here, actually. That's not how I do science tests. Quick, just like that. But yeah, that's quite a little bit of fun there, and I'm pretty sure. No, it's not. Okay. I'm going to stop there before I embarrass myself. There's also the elements quiz, which is a little chemistry one, which we use. There it is. Elements quiz. Yeah, let's quiz here. Here's a symbol quiz. We use it to match up the names to the symbols. You can go around and really test whether you know what it is you're doing. I mean, we use the periodic table a lot during chemistry, and so all of these apps have been quite useful for trying to really keep up to date with all of the elements and stuff, because they're quite difficult. The next one is Awesome Elements, which is another chemistry test, and it's more or less the same thing, but it's quite entertaining as well. So if I start, I'm going to start here. If I just play around with these again and move these bubbles around. And the annoying thing is you can't let them intersect or hit each other. Wow, pretty amazing stuff. And so that's quite fun, especially trying to do it under timed aspect, so that you're really pushing to see how quickly you can do that sort of thing. Finally, there's puzzling plates, which is a geology one and allows you to fit all the different tectonic plates together and see where they all go. And I spent quite a while doing this actually. I've got the entire plate here, just pop it down around that at the bottom. So we can use that to fit it all together. And I found my thing when I was doing my geology using plate tectonics. it's proven quite valuable to me because I've realised that there are a lot of plates around the place actually. Well, there you go. Finally, there is the next section of apps which you use to actually create whatever it is you want to be doing. So obviously, in science we use pages, keynote, and numbers, as we do in a lot of other apps, a lot of other classes, sorry, and pages especially so. But some extra apps we use for science is Poplet, and Poplet is a kind of brainstorming app. So if I make a new Poplet, which is the amazing Poplet, you saw it first. Here we have our new Poplet here, and what I can do is I can put words into my Poplet, and then I can attach all sorts of different things to it. So I can just put all these boxes around so that I can construct my own mind map on the iPad and help organise it. Because like whenever anybody says, construct the mind map, it ends up just being this huge cluttered cloud, and it looks more like a soup map by the end. And this is quite useful actually. One that I use specifically for we also used an app called UberSense, which is an app which allows you to record footage and then play it back in slow motion, so that you can pick up the sort of stuff that you haven't used to begin with. Now, it is actually technically a sports app, but you can use it in the science classroom quite easily. I'm not going to record now, but I suppose you get the gist. And you can just sit down. I'll actually show you something. This is something I had in the science classroom. What I can do is I can play at normal speed. Wow, that was not very fast. And if I record it at an eighth speed, it's probably not going to change much. Just try run. But yeah, that can be very useful, and I've used it on numerous occasions for different practical reports and just in various physics topics. But anyways, the thing I find about iPads is that you don't actually use them to perform a single task, and that's the most important thing I find. I mean, I can get all the information I need for a specific topic from my iPad. Then I can test myself on this knowledge from my iPad, and then I can create whatever it is I need to create from my iPad. Everything can stay on this one device, and that's what makes it so unique and so special. For example, there was a practical report that I had to do, which pretty much what happened was my science teacher put up a practical on Windows. I then downloaded the criteria for this practical report onto my iPad and read through it on pages. Then I performed the practical, which was this practical here, which is an activity where you had to measure the energy efficiency of different types of balls. So we dropped them all at the same height, and we tried to see how energy efficient each of them were as to how high they bounced up again. Now, well, what I did was I then had to type out my own practical report. We then performed our experiment and recorded the results with the camera from our iPad, slowed it down in UberSense so that we could see the maximum height. We measured it against the rule that we had shot, and we then recorded it down here. We put it into a table, and then I sent it via email to my science teacher. I finished a whole piece of work without it leaving my iPad, and that happens a lot of the time. Most of the time, all of my work stays on my iPad, and that is why I find it so useful.